Last time we learned electrons behave like a wave with a wavelength lambda equal h over p. So electrons can be described by wave function psi xt. And this wave function can be obtained by wave equation, which is called Schrödinger equation. But long before quantum mechanics is developed, scientists are already familiar with the wave phenomena such as light and sound. And they already know how to describe waves such as light and sound with wave function. And they already developed wave function that satisfy this wave function, which looks like this. So the question arises, why do we solve Schrödinger equation to solve wave function? This is a material wave. Why do we need to solve Schrödinger equation to solve material wave? How about solve this equation to solve material wave? This is the question. This is actually a very difficult differential equation. Why do we solve Schrödinger equation? Just pull up this material wave to this classical wave equation, because this is also wave equation. The answer lies in this de Broglie relation. There is a big fundamental difference between material wave and light and sound wave. The difference is here. Material wave must satisfy de Broglie relation, whereas sound and light does not have to satisfy this de Broglie relation. More precisely, according to Einstein, E equals h nu. For free particle, there is no potential energy, so all the energy is kinetic energy. Kinetic energy is equal to Q square over 2m, and according to de Broglie relation, this is equal to so h is cancelled. So we obtain this relation. This relation comes from de Broglie relation. Every wave has frequency and 뭐가 잘못됐어? Every wave has frequency and wavelength. Material wave has wavelength and frequency, but material wave has satisfied this relation due to de Broglie relation. But sound wave or light wave doesn't have to satisfy this relation. But the wave function that comes from solving from this classical wave equation, there is no guarantee that this wave function satisfy this de Broglie relation. So we need to solve this Schrödinger equation. Actually, Schrödinger equation is specially designed that the wave function that are obtained from it must satisfy this de Broglie relation. So this is the first question. And second question is that, what is the meaning of this psi? As I said before, a wave is a phenomenon in which a certain physical property propagates spatially and temporally. For example, if this wave function represents sound wave, what y represent? In this case, y represents sound pressure, because in sound wave, sound pressure propagates. So y means sound pressure. If this function represent light wave. This Y represents the strength of electric field or strength of magnetic field, because light wave means electric field or magnetic field propagates. Then the question is there. Then what does psi means? What is propagating? What psi means? Actually, no one proves what psi means, but there is a suggestion or proposal or interpretation by Born. Born just suggested, does not prove. Wave function square is equal to probability. Where electron is found. This is just a proposal, not proof. So, if we accept Born's interpretation, the mathematical form of wave function is restricted, because this wave function definitely must satisfy this relation, because according to Born's interpretation, wave function square is equal to probability, and when you add up all the probability, it must give 1. So this function definitely must satisfy this relation. This condition comes from this suggestion. And also, when you draw this wave function, when x goes to infinity, it goes to 0. So the integral of this function must have finite value. So anyway, this function has restricted because of this suggestion. So anyway, now I'm going to drive now Schrödinger equation, but keep in mind that I'm going to follow the step that is introduced in your textbook, but the derivation is not rigorous one. Actually, the derivation is wrong. Actually, the derivation is very, very difficult actually. But I just follow the step introduced in your textbook. The complete derivation is appeared in the graduate textbook in the physics department. Actually, it's very, very difficult. So I simply follow the textbook. So Schrödinger equation. Now here's particle, and particle BS wave with a wavelength lambda. So this is a wave with a wavelength lambda. So it can one more point. I'm sorry. So wave function, general form of wave function is a function of spatial coordinate, temporal coordinate, and mathematically we assume that this function can be expressed as a product of two functions. This is assumption. We assume that this general wave function can be expressed as a two part. First part concerned about spatial part, second part concerned about temporal part. And in our textbook, the Schrödinger equation, which is introduced our textbook, are only concerned about this part. The Schrödinger equation, which are concerned about this spatial part, not this one. Okay. The Schrödinger equation that concerned about this overall wave equation, wave function, is presented in the physics textbook. But in our general chemistry textbook, the Schrödinger equation are only concerned about spatial part wave function. So we are only concerned about spatial part. So anyway, now particle moves and it behaves like a wave, and the wavelength is lambda. Now, natural way of wave with wavelength lambda is using sine function. This is the representative function which have wavelength lambda. Or this function also represent wave with wavelength lambda. But it doesn't matter which function we use. So I'm going to take sine function. So I'm going to use this function. So this is a function which represents the wave with a wavelength lambda. So in first step, I'm going to take a derivative of this function. Then this 2 over lambda comes out. And sine times cosine. And I'm take a derivative once more, second derivative. Lambda over 2 pi over lambda comes out once again, and we have minus sign. And cosine turns sine. Note that our original function a sine x come back, right? When you take a second derivative, our original function come again. So I'm gonna write this equation again. Minus this one. And a sine 2 pi over lambda x is equal to cosine. Okay. Now, as I said before, why do we need Schrödinger equation? We need Schrödinger equation to satisfy Dubreuil relation. So, in this step, the Dubreuil relation is injected. Dubreuil relation is equal to h over p. In this step, this Dubreuil relation is injected in this equation. So, instead of lambda, we are going to use h over p. Okay. So h p. Okay. Now I'm going to multiply both sides by this term. I'm going to multiply both sides by this term. So left term and my plus this is a 4 pi square, 8 pi square, so 2 m remains, and h square cancelled, p square remains. So this is our equation. So p square over 2m remains. What this term means, this is the kinetic energy. So total energy is equal to kinetic energy plus potential energy, and kinetic energy equal to this one. This is kinetic energy and potential energy. And this potential energy go to the left. So this term is put to here. So this is our equation. And finally, this term go to the left. So this is our final equation. This is a final case. This is called Schrödinger equation. We are going to use this Schrödinger equation over and over again throughout this semester. This is our result. In this equation, the most important part is this one. Vx. What this means? Potential energy. I'm going to demonstrate why this part is important. Now, consider this situation. Now, electron behave like a wave, and electron described by wave function. I'm going to obtain this wave function. How? By solving this wave equation. But this electron is actually attached to spring. Okay. The first constant is k. Then how do you obtain this wave function? To obtain this wave function, you are going to solve this wave equation. To solve this wave equation, you need to know the potential function. The potential function is equal to 1 over 2 kx square, right? So instead of Vx, you are going to put 1 over 2 kx square. So you must solve this differential equation to solve psi x, okay? But what happens? Electron again here. This one is also described by Ex, but now electron is now in the atom. In the atom, the electron is attracted by nucleus, not by spring. In this case, the potential energy is Coulomb energy. When the electrons are attracted by nucleus in the atom, instead of this harmonic potential, you must use Coulomb potential instead of this one. Here, minus so you must solve this differential equation to solve wave function for the atom, for the electron in the atom. So this part continuous change, okay, depending on the situation in the electron. So wave function also change, okay. So in this Schrödinger equation, the most important part is this potential part. Potential part change, then wave function change, then energy also change. Now we are going to solve with this Schrödinger equation in hand. We are going to actually solve this Schrödinger equation. We are going to start with the most simplest case, in which the most simplest case is Vx equals 0. Okay, this is the simplest case possible. So this term disappears. This case is called particle in a one-dimensional box. So no potential exists. So here, this is a one-dimensional box. There are no potential here. So electron is empty space, which is one-dimensional. Left side x equals 0, right side x equals a. This is just empty space, one-dimensional. Electron is put into the empty box. This is called 1D box, okay? So this electron is put into the 1D box and behaves like a wave. So this electron can be described by this wave function. I'm going to obtain this wave function. This wave function must satisfy this Schrödinger equation. In this case, there are no potential terms. So I'm going to solve this wave equation. Now it's time to solve this differential equation. Now this is mathematics. Now when you take a closer look at this equation, this is a second order differential equation. According to calculus textbook, we need two boundary condition to solve this equation. We need boundary condition. To solve this equation according to calculus textbook. The boundary is here, x equals 0 and x equals L. But as I said, electron only in between x equals 0 and x equals L. There are no electrons here. So the function value at outside box, wave function must be 0. So when x equals 0, x equals L, it must be 0. Because here, there are no electrons. Here, outside the box, there are no electrons. So, function value of outside the box must be 0. So, at the boundary, also, the function value must be 0. So, this is the boundary condition for this differential equation. So, with this equation, I'm going to solve psi. Okay. So I'm going to rearrange this equation. This term go to the right. And I'm going to introduce new variables, k square. This one is equal to k square. This is, I'm going to introduce this one. Then this equation is simplified. This is the differential equation we are going to solve. Now, this equation is very easy to solve. When you take a second derivative, original function come again, right? You know already the solution. What is the solution of this differential equation? First function is sin kx satisfy this differential equation, and you can also obtain second equation, cosine kx. Also, solution of this equation. This is the particular solution of this differential equation, and according to calculus textbook, the general solution of this second order differential equation is a linear combination of these two particular solutions. So for the solution of this second order differential equation is this form. So we have three unknowns, A, B, K. We must determine three unknowns, A, B, and K, using this boundary condition. So I'm going to apply first boundary condition when x equals 0. For x equals 0, when x equals 0, this term 0. When x equals 0, this term is equal to b is equal to 0. So b is equal to 0, right? So this term cancelled because b equals 0. This term cancelled. So now move on to second boundary condition. You have two solutions, A equal 0 and sin KL equal 0. But this solution is unacceptable because when A equals 0, the function is 0. Function is 0 everywhere. for a equal this solution. So this solution is not acceptable. So because when a equals 0, this function is 0 everywhere. So this solution is not acceptable. So we accept this one. But sine function is periodic function. So you obtain many solutions. So KL and this is a solution for this equation. Now, important point, here n is not real, n is integer, right? N integer, which start from 0. Okay? Okay. So, here, k equal n pi over n, right? n starts from 0, 1, 2, blah, blah, blah. Right? Here and here. So, right? But once again, n equals 0 is not acceptable. Why? When n equals 0, this function becomes 0, right? Once again, so this n equals 0 is not acceptable. When n equals 0, this function is 0. Function is 0 everywhere. So this is not acceptable. So n starts with n, right? So n is not acceptable. So this is our solution. Now, still one unknown remains, but we used up all boundary conditions. How do you determine unknown A? We already exhaust boundary condition. What condition do we use to determine A? One condition remains. What condition? We already mentioned, according to Born, wave function scale, when you integrate wave function scale, it must be 1, right? This condition comes from the physics interpretation, right? So it comes from 0 to L, right? We are going to use this condition to determine unknown A. So here is put into this one. To L. So A square come out of integral, and according to mathematics textbook, when you integrate this one is equal to L over 2. So A equal root 2 over L. So we finally obtain solution. This is our solution. So wave function psi depends on n. So we subscript n. So here n is called quantum number. In this case, quantum number n starts with 1, right? Now, one thing remains. How do you calculate energy of the electron? This is the wave function. How do you calculate energy of the electron? Energy from here. We introduce k square, which is equal to L pi over L. So instead of A, using this formula, you can obtain energy of the electron. So when you rearrange this equation, final result is n square h square. When you rearrange this equation, you obtain this formula. Energy also depends on n. So this is our final result. So wave function is here, energy is here. Now this is the important point. Yeah, I'm going to draw this wave function. This is important. Okay, I'm going to draw this wave function in the following slide. I'm going to draw a wave function up to 3, n equal 3. n equal 1, n equal 2, n equal 3, x equal 0, x equal L. And the wave function is proportional to x. So when n equal 1, it is proportional to sine pi x, right? Sine pi x looks like this function. When n equal to 2 pi x, which looks like this one. When n equal 3 pi x, this function, right? Now I'm going to check 2 points. First one is number of nodes, and second point is symmetry. First point, nodes. Node is defined to points to satisfy 2 conditions. Number of nodes are defined to satisfy 2 conditions. The first condition is that the function value must be 0. This is the first condition. Second condition is that the function value must change sign when it passes through the point. For example, this point. This point satisfies two conditions. First condition satisfied function value is 0, and the change sign plus to minus, right? So this point is node. How about this point? This point satisfies first condition, but this point does not satisfy second condition because left side there are no function value. So this point is not node. This point is node. So in n equal 2 state, there are only one node. How about n equal 3 state? We have 2 nodes. How about this one? There are no nodes. So as you can see, as the number of nodes increase, energy increase. This is a general trend. Number of nodes increase, then energy also increase. Now symmetry. I'm sure you heard of even symmetry or even function or odd function. So this is center line. This is odd function, right? This is even function. This is even function again. So you can see even function, odd function, even function, right? So more specifically, we say that this function has even parity, odd parity, even parity. So anyway, as you can see, you can see that okay, but this even or the alternating pattern does not apply to only 1D box. This principle also applies to atomic orbital. So, in atomic orbital is classified according to L quantum number. L equals 0, L equals 1, L equals 2. L equals 0 orbital is called S orbital. L equals 1 orbital is called P orbital. L equals 2 orbital is called D orbital. Minus. Now, this function is odd function. When you invert this shape, plus transform to minus, it changes sign. So this function is odd function. How about D orbital? This function plus transformed plus, minus transformed minus. So this function is even function. S orbital definitely even function. So atomic orbital also shows alternating pattern depending on L quantum number. Yeah? It is similar pattern. Then the question is, why do we care about the symmetry or even odd parity? It is very important. Now, I'll give you a concrete example why symmetry or even odd parity is important. 1s orbital, 2s orbital, 2p orbital. Imagine electron in a 1s orbital. I irradiate light and the electron in a 1s orbital want to jump a higher orbital. And the question is, will the electron in the 1s orbital, will it go 2p orbital or 2s orbital? This is the question. According to quantum mechanics, the electron in 1s orbital are excited to only 2p orbital. It is not excited to 2s orbital. It is allowed to transition. It is forbidden transition, according to quantum mechanics. This phenomenon can be explained using this method. According to quantum mechanics, the transition probability, so generally, this is the initial state, this is the final state, this is the right. We are going to use excite electron to induce transition from initial state to the final state. According to quantum mechanics, the transition probability from initial state to the final state are proportional to the following integral. The integrand composed of three parts: initial state wave function, final state wave function. We are going to use light in the middle. The direction of polarization is in the middle. So if we assume that if we use the X polarized light is used, we are going to use X. So this is the transition probability from psi I to psi f. So if this integral is 0, the transition is forbidden. Transition is not allowed. If this is not non-zero, transition is allowed. If this is 0, this transition is forbidden. So we want to know this integral is 0 or non-zero. This is the question. But this integration is 0 or non-zero can be obtained by knowing that the symmetry of this one. Why? In the mathematical course, when you integrate odd function, you know that it's definitely 0, right? It is from the calculus course. Definitely, when you integrate odd function on symmetric interval, it's definitely 0, right? And when even function times odd function, what is this one? Odd function, right? Even function times even function is even function. Odd function times odd function is even function, right? Using this principle, we can show if this integral is 0 or non-zero. So I'm going to using this principle to here. Now I'm going to show that this transition is forbidden using this one. Here, initial state is 1s orbital. Final state is 2s orbital. I'm going to assume that we are going to use x polarized light. And as I said before, 1s orbital is even function, right? So this is even function. 2s orbital also even function. How about x function? X is polarity plus or minus. So this is like px orbital. It is odd function. So even function times odd function times even function. This function is definitely odd function. So when you integrate this odd function, it is definitely 0, right? So this transition probability definitely 0. So this transition is forbidden. Okay. How about 2p orbital? If final state is 2p orbital, this is 2p. 2p orbital is odd function. Then even function times odd function is even function. So when you integrate odd function, you cannot say that this is not is 0. Actually, it is not 0. So this is allowed transition. Okay. So in this way, only if you know the symmetry of the orbital, you can determine this transition is allowed or this transition is not allowed. So this is very, very important. So you can apply this principle to our particle in a one-dimensional box. Here, then I want to ask, this transition n equal 1 to 3 is allowed transition or forbidden transition? Here to here. This is even function. This is odd function. This is even function. This transition is allowed or forbidden? Initial state is even. Final state is also even. X is odd, right? So when you multiply all of three functions, it is odd function, right? So totally it is odd function. So when you integrate this function, it is 0. So this transition is forbidden, right? But this transition is allowed. Okay. So symmetry of the function is very, very important. I'm going to talk about symmetry over and over again throughout this semester. Okay, now I'm complete particle in one-dimensional box. Any questions? Okay, see you next time.